Hi everyone, it's Lori with Main Street Gardener, and I'm a Zone 7B garden on the East Coast in the US. And today I am so excited to share a few tips with you about growing dahlias. Now, sometimes I might call them dahlias. Either way, they are one of the most stunning but a little temperamental plants to grow in your garden. So if you are considering adding dahlias, or maybe you've struggled with them in the past, I thought I'd give you just a couple of my quick and easy tips. So I've been growing them for over 6 years in a variety of ways in my garden. And so I'm going to share with you how I got started and how I'm growing them today. So we're going to jump in to a couple easy tips. This is not everything you need to know, but hopefully it'll help you out. So tip number 1 is super important, picking the right spot in your garden. Dahlias need 6 to 8 hours of bright sunshine. So this is actually an image of the first garden patch that I did of dahlias. This was at our home in Virginia, and I decided I wanted to jump in and grow dahlias. So I found a sunny spot actually in the front of our house along this fence, and I put in a raised bed and got started. I did a little research, read up, but I just jumped right in. The key component, though, of my success in year 1 was definitely healthy soil, a lot of fertilizer, and a lot of sunshine. This spot got sunshine all day long, didn't have any shade or areas that were not going to help the plants grow and thrive. So that is number 1. So next is how to determine the garden space of where to plant your dahlias. The great news is dahlias can actually be planted anywhere. You can start with just one dahlia, or you can have raised bed gardens like I did here to plant your dahlias. You can also plant them directly in a garden bed. So the options are endless. Now, I started growing dahlias in raised beds, and I did this for a couple reasons. One, it allowed me to control the soil. So I was able to add soil, compost, and really contain that soil in the ground. It also allowed me to put in irrigation lines so that the dahlias were watered daily in the heat of the summer. So when I got started, these are the first beds that I had. These are just off Amazon. They're pine beds. I just wanted something really inexpensive to get started. Now, when I moved to our home out in Maryland, I also went with those pine beds. And while they're not going to last forever, they did last for 3 good growing seasons. And now I'm actually using the wood in some other areas in the garden. So when I first moved to my property, I went ahead and started growing in beds. But now I'm actually growing dahlias in the garden. So this is some of my seed dahlias that I actually grew out in the garden directly. This image of some dahlias that actually grew with some zinnias all mixed in a border in my garden. Now, if you watch The Impatient Gardener on YouTube, she is the master at mixing dahlias into her garden, which is where I got the idea to give it a try. So it just goes to show you, you can plant dahlias in any space in your garden, even in containers. So there's some tricks to planting dahlias in containers, but it's absolutely possible. Now, this box on the right side actually has dahlias in it. These are seedlings that I planted last year, and they grew and did beautifully. So there's so many options. You just have to decide where in your garden you want the dahlias. Okay, so the next tip is choosing the right size dahlia. And it really means the right size for your space. So the interesting thing about dahlias is they come in every possible size, from the dinner plates, which are huge over on the left of the screen, all the way over to the little pom-poms. So you want to think about your garden space and what's going to work best. You can also now get miniature dahlias, which are really fun and easy to grow. Now, I got started with dahlias learning from Florette Farm, and she has a book, Discovering Dahlias, which is amazing. I also got into growing dahlias from seed. So seeds are a great way to grow dahlias. Now, it makes it super easy, but they are still going to be really tall plants, but the blooms will be a lot smaller. The blooms remind me of a larger 𝐋𝐿 or zinnia. So regardless of what size dahlias, you do need to think about your space. So if you're going to grow a large dinner plate, you're going to need a little bit more room. Dahlia tubers make really large plants. So you want to be sure you're giving them enough space, enough room for air, sunshine, so not planting them too close together. When I plant them out in the garden beds, I'm able to mix them in and they seem to just thrive. So my next tip is to really plant your tubers after your last frost date. For me in 7B, I like to do that after Mother's Day. While our last frost date is late April, you want the ground to really warm up. That is going to kickstart your tubers. I know we get excited and we want to put them out early, but I can promise based on experience that's not the best idea. These tubers want to be warm to start sprouting and growing. So get them in the ground after your last frost and plant the tubers 4 to 6 inches deep. I would go on the deeper side for a large dahlia. They want all that delicious, rich soil to help them grow. All right, next up is staking. So supporting your tubers is absolutely critical. I learned this the hard way. So I thought in the beginning I could just stake when I needed it. Well, you are 100% going to need to stake your dahlias unless they are a short kind of shrub style. So dahlias that grow from seed or tubers are going to need staking. Otherwise, they flop in the wind, they break in a windstorm, rainstorm, and you just struggle. If you try to add staking later, you can also puncture a tuber. Just ask me how to do that. So right here you can see I just have some garden twine. You can use stakes that you have around the garden. You can use bamboo, sticks, metal stakes, anything that you want. Now right here you'll see some plastic. This is Hortonova netting. You can purchase that even off Amazon. It's not too expensive. And it is something that you can use year over year. And it's great if you're going to grow a lot of dahlias, especially in rows. Okay, so next we want to water and feed our dahlias. Yes, because they are in that hot sun all day, they need lots of water and lots of nutrition. And I can't stress that enough. So for the health of your plant, you want to plant them with lots of rich compost. And then you want to add a low nitrogen fertilizer monthly. A lot of people like to use natural fertilizers like seaweed, things like that. So you just want to make sure that it's the right type of fertilizer. And you do want to apply it monthly. That's just going to help the health of the plant and help all your blooms. They are heavy feeders and they also like water. If you can add drip irrigation, that's going to work best because it's going to soak into the soil. In the heat of the summer, when it's over 90 degrees, I will water in the morning and in the evening, especially in my raised beds. I find the dahlias really need a lot of water. All right, so the fun part of growing dahlias is actually cutting them. Now, dahlias to continue blooming want to be deadheaded and they want to be cut. So what you want to do is actually cut your dahlia stems pretty deep. Now that can seem harsh to the plant, but I promise you will get branching and more and more and more flowers. So be sure to cut your dahlias, bring them indoors. They will last for 3 to 5 days. And enjoy them in a fresh arrangement. They are so stunning. You can also enjoy them out in the garden, but once they start to shrivel up, you want to go ahead and deadhead them so you'll start getting more blooms. Now, there are lots of videos on YouTube or on the internet about how to cut dahlias. There are some tricks and tips that I'd recommend, so check that out if you are, again, new to growing dahlias. But one thing for sure, this plant loves producing blooms and you're going to have plenty. So get ready and enjoy, but be sure you continually cut and deadhead. So those are just a few of my growing tips. I am going to put in the description of the video some of the resources that have helped me along the way. So again, Florette Flower Farm has an incredible website with tons of tools and tips for you, especially growing dahlias from seed. Remember, you can pick up dahlia seed at many places. You can find it online. You can also find it at a variety of stores. Now, if you're interested in growing dahlia tubers, Swan Island Dahlias is one of the best in the world. They have where you can purchase tubers, but also tons of resources online. So if you're interested, those two links will be in the description of the video. So if you're new, I encourage you to pick up a couple tubers or start with some seeds. You are going to love it. Let me know if you have questions that I can answer in the comments of the video. Again, this is just some of my quick and easy tips if you're getting started, and I can't wait to share my dahlias with you this year.